we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money and the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Staying safe and being safe. Feeling, being, and doing are different things, right? So I want you to be safe, and then I want you to do things to keep yourself safe, and then I want you to stay safe. So be safe, do safe, stay safe, something like that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know that. Y'all get me. I hope y'all get me. I'm a weirdo. So anyway, I just got up and I decided to boost my immune system and sleep in and sleep. And I have the great fortune of being able to sleep next to the most beautiful Black woman on this planet. And so that works out really well. That gives me an incentive to sleep. And if you have a Black woman in your life that you really love, raise your hand, throw your name, throw her name up in the chat. Shout her praise in public. Even if it's your mama, even if your mama is a beautiful Black woman, shout your mama's name. And also let me know what city you're coming from. I'm here this morning to have a conversation with you guys that's really for grown folks. As you know, drboycetv.com is the home for intelligent Black people. Intelligence means that you question everything. Intelligence means you question everything. Also, though, intelligence means that you don't run after every rampant conspiracy theory that they throw at you. Here's the thing. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I know that conspiracies exist. In fact, the blanket dismantling and the blanket dismissal of all conspiracy theories as nonsense, well, that's a conspiracy itself. A lot of times, the people that are accused of the conspiracy theory, when they dismiss all conspiracy theories, well, guess what? They might be running a conspiracy on your ass. If you get what I'm saying, give me a yes in the chat if you follow what I just said right there. If you didn't follow it, then I want you to think about it real quick and real slow, because this is where we're going with this conversation. We're going to have a real authentic discussion today. What's up on Instagram? My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. And if you are following on Instagram, you've seen kind of the pretext of this discussion. I thought about this morning. I slept on it. I saw a video this morning. Shout out to 2 of my friends, one of my friends and one guy I'd like to be friends with one day, Willie D. Willie D. He used to be with the Ghetto Boys, and now he's a great activist. Well, I guess he's still with the Ghetto Boys. R.I.P. to Bushwick Bill. And Willie D is a friend of mine, and I follow Willie on Instagram, and I saw he posted a video, and the video was originally shared by Rizza Islam. I never met Rizza, but I have a lot of respect for him. And shout out to Rizza Islam for sharing this video. So here's what I'm going to do. Now, I need you to, before we even begin this discussion, I need you to agree to give me a confirmation that you can do one thing. I need you to give me confirmation that you can do one thing, and that is this. Will you open your mind? Give me a yes in the chat, a yes or no, if you're willing to take a moment to just open your mind and hear some facts, hear some information. Because I have some information from 2 doctors out in Bakersfield, 2 emergency room doctors who did a press conference today or yesterday or something. And I just watched it today. And they had some stuff to say about this lockdown that will blow your mind. If you're a person that, it even blew my mind, and I was already considered to be a skeptic, but it's not because I was a skeptic or a non-believer or a, what do they call them? They don't call them non-believers. They call them deniers. Yeah, deniers. You have Holocaust deniers. Like, people are like, oh, Dr. Boyce, you're a denier of the virus. I said, no, I'm not a denier. I follow the rules. I've been staying home. I've been, social distancing, quarantine, all that. I bought a box full of these surgical masks for my family just in case, right? Just in case. And they wasn't cheap. So I'm not a denier, but I ain't stupid either. They didn't give me a doctorate at the Ohio State University and sign off on it, but with some of the top economists in the world, because I was stupid. They did it because, I at least know how to think. All right, so I thank you for your confirmation, Jessica and Gary and everybody else. Let's get to it. Let's get it popping here. If you're on Instagram watching, you'll be able to hear the video, but you won't be able to see the video. You'll be able to hear it, but you won't be able to see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and take you to this place called the Land of Information and Truth and Data. And it's a place that you don't get to go to very much if you live in the other land, called political spin, called Democrat versus Republican, called we want you to believe whatever we tell you to believe. These are two emergency room doctors. Their names are Dr. Artin Masihi, and Dr. Dan Erickson. And Dr. Masihi and Dr. Erickson are both emergency room physicians. Let's see here. They did a press conference here in Bakersfield. They are the co-owners of Accelerated Urgent Care in Bakersfield. In fact, let me read some of this in terms of their story, and then I'll show you their video, their press conference. I'll sped it up, and I'm gonna show you the video Rizza Islam shared, just so you guys can hear it, because some of y'all need to hear from white people before you actually consider that it might be true. So these guys are both white, so that'll give you some comfort if white folks give you more comfort. And so here's what they said. They said, before COVID-19 was even detected in the United States, Dan Erickson, a former emergency room physician who now co-owns Accelerated Urgent Care in Bakersfield, he bought as many tests for the virus as he could. He took every precaution he could. He bought a bunch of tests. So he did something that a lot of doctors haven't done. He bought tons of tests. The government doesn't have enough tests. He apparently had a lot because he bought the tests back before it became an issue. So he knew it would be here eventually, and he wanted to be ready to test those who needed and wanted it. So that makes him smarter than President Trump, right? Because Trump and all of his scientific advisors, apparently they didn't know that this thing in China could eventually get to the US. Governor Cuomo, who's being cited as a hero, Andrew Cuomo out in New York, he wasn't ready. If you go back and you listen to Cuomo's statements about a month or two before he was screaming bloody murder and going crazy about what's happening in New York, he also was a person that didn't take any precautions. His top public health official literally encouraged people to get together in large groups. I don't know if y'all remember that, but go look it up. Just go find it. It's out there. So this doctor, Dr. Erickson, out of Bakersfield, California, took precautions. He prepared in advance. He said, if I stay ready, I ain't got to get ready. And so he got ready and he stayed ready. So he bought a bunch of tests and he tested thousands of people. He did something that very few places can do, which is test thousands of people. He and his business partner, Dr. Artin Masihi, say they have enough data to draw conclusions from COVID-19. So that their message is clear. They say COVID-19 is more ubiquitous and less deadly than we think. It's similar to influenza, it's similar to the flu, and we should therefore reopen society and stop treating the situation like the lethal menace it was initially thought to be. Quote, 2 months ago, we didn't know this, so I'm bringing it to light now. So 2 months ago, he too was full of alarm, like a lot of us were. I was as well. Now, I'm not a physician. I'm not a medical doctor. My sister's a pathologist. She does autopsies, and she's kind of told me some things that the people in her space were saying. And but I'm not a medical doctor. But I remember when I heard about it, and I was a little bit concerned, very concerned actually, because I'm a quote unquote, I guess, kind of a public. You have like a few 100,000 followers on YouTube, on YouTube. Then you shake a lot of hands, you meet a lot of people. So I had just gone to Atlanta with Alicia, and I shook a ton of hands while I was there. Everywhere I go, I shake a lot of hands. So because I shake a lot of hands, I said I want to be safe. So I talked to my baby. I said, hey, why don't we just go quarantine, go kick it and chill for a minute, and get out of this? Just cancel everything and do what we're supposed to do. That's what we did. And here's what got me. I saw it when Idris Elba announced that he had it. I saw it when Tom Hanks announced that they had it, and his wife Rita Hayward. And then I saw a couple other celebrities, Rudy, what's his face, who plays for the Utah Jazz, and then another player on the Jazz got it. And so I was getting a little bit worried. I was kind of like, I wonder what's going to happen. So I just sat back and observed. And I said, in my mind, in my back of my mind, I was thinking, if this thing is really deadly, really, really bad, then we should probably hear about some celebrities dying. I should hear about Idris Elba being taken to the hospital. He's on a ventilator. Everybody, pray for Jesus, or excuse me, pray for Jesus. Well, don't pray for Jesus. I talked about Kanye yesterday. He calls himself Jesus, so maybe that's why it's in my head. But everybody pray for Idris. He doesn't have much longer to live. I didn't see that. I did not see a single person, big name, A-list celebrity die from COVID. And that was surprising to me because, celebrities, if you've ever been around a celebrity, or if you are one, some of you are celebrities. I'm not a celebrity. I've been around a lot of celebrities, and a lot of people. There are people that know me. I can say in every city I go to, I get stopped on the street, so that's a different experience. So as a result, you're always shaking hands, you're always hugging people, you're always around people. So I figured the celebrities will be the first to die, because the celebrities and the politicians are around everybody. And really, I also thought Trump might die because Trump's old and fat, and his immune system is probably as compromised as they come. And he's meeting everybody. He's shaking everybody's hand. And he truly was a denier, right? I wasn't a denier. I was just a skeptic. He was a denier. He flat out was like, this is no big deal, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, well, at any moment, he should be gone now. And, and I would just encourage people not to celebrate too hard, because we don't want to celebrate something like that, right? You don't celebrate anybody's death, right? But it would kind of probably be like the scene of The Wiz. Remember when the evil witch died and all the people took off their clothes and started singing, "Can you feel a brand new day?" Right? Yeah, I can see that, right? But honestly, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm not a person who would ever celebrate if the president of the United States, went south. I just would, because to me that's I don't celebrate death. I can't do that. So here's what. So when I saw no celebrities were getting really sick, no A-listers, right? When I saw that none of the A-listers were getting, really, I'm talking about like, I got to go to the hospital. I was on a ventilator sick. I hear celebrities say, I had a bad headache. I think Jazzy Jeff said, I had some memory loss. And I can just tell you, when I had a sinus infection, I've had 2 or 3 sinus infections in my life. And those were the worst illnesses I ever had. Has anybody ever had like a really bad sinus infection or a really bad flu where you are just like incredibly fucked up? Like you don't know which way is up. You can't even get up and walk to the refrigerator to get, a glass of orange juice, right? Like that to me doesn't necessarily mean that you had something that was going to kill you, right? It just means that you were sick. And the thing is, here's one thing that they mentioned that really got my attention. These 2 doctors, is they mentioned, here's one thing they said. They said that when you look at the data and you look at the people that died, they said that 90% of the people that died had what they call comorbidities. What does that mean? Well, again, I'm not a doctor here, but what I'm gathering here is the comorbidity means you were probably going to die anyway, that you would have been taken out by the flu. That you would have been taken out by the flu. So, it's not a matter of saying death doesn't matter. We know death always matters. But what's happened is we've somehow taken a flu-related death and put it over here. And this new super flu, the COVID, whatever it might be, whatever it's called, we put it over in a special category where everybody stays home from work. Right. And people can't pay their bills. So let me read a little bit more. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Please share this. Please retweet if you're on Twitter. I'm going to keep reading here. So they also said that after they tested thousands of people, they said that that this disease is more ubiquitous and less deadly than we think. It's similar to the flu, and therefore we should reopen society. They said 2 months ago we didn't know this, so we're bringing it to light now. Kern County Public Health Services spokeswoman Michelle Corson and an epidemiologist contacted by the Californian said they did not agree with the doctor's recommendation to end social distancing and immediately start reopening society. So listen to this. So I'm going to read between the lines on this a little bit. They said this is a many-headed hydra. It is unfortunate to boil this all down to it's just flu. Said Andrew Neumer, associate professor of public health at UC Irvine. There's no flu season that looks anything like New York does right now. And it's interesting. And I thought, and New York came to mind as well, because they did ask these doctors about New York. They said, well, what about New York? And one thing that they said that was really fascinating was they said, we've had this before with the flu. They said we've had times where the flu would overflow hospitals and overwhelm the hospitals and things like that. He said in New York, a lot of people are packed together. And he said that we know that this new virus is more contagious than the flu. So it's easier to catch it, but it's not necessarily more lethal. I think that's what they're saying, right? So they're saying that in New York, there's a higher likelihood this kind of thing's going to happen. Whereas, in a town where I live, where there's plenty of space and big yards and, and everybody can stay away from each other pretty easily, we don't have anything like that here, right? You go to the doctor, it's a normal day. You go to the grocery store, it's a normal day. The only difference is that there's more fear. People are wearing more masks. But in general, if you take away the man-made manifestations or the human reactions to what they think might possibly happen, if you take all that out, if people didn't know that it was out there, it would just be as normal of a day as you can imagine. So, so here's what they said. They said that they did 5,213 tests at 5 locations, which is more than half of the 9,197 tests done in the entire county. Of the 5,213, 340 tests were positive. So let's do some math here. I'm gonna pull up an online calculator. Some of y'all who don't like facts, data, and math are probably gonna get a little frustrated if you don't like numbers. You know, if you really kind of just want to believe a preconceived agenda, like if you're that much of a Republican that you want to believe whatever the Republicans told you on Fox News, this ain't the place for you. If you are that much of an addict of MSNBC and the Democrats, and you just believe anything they tell you, then shit, they let them go tell you to jump off a bridge and go jump, because I don't trust most white people. I don't trust all politicians or most politicians, and I don't even trust a percentage of black people. I just don't. Because so many people are just full of crap. So many people have their emotional belief and they want that to be the truth, and they will defend anything that they can find that will support their false belief. That you gotta understand. I don't care if you are a Barack Obama guy or a hardcore Democrat. If you are that committed to your belief that you will reject all evidence that does not confirm your pre-existing belief, you are as disadvantaged. I'm not gonna say stupid. I'm not gonna call you stupid. So I'm gonna call you disadvantaged. You are as disadvantaged as the toothless, raggedy ass hillbilly with a 2nd grade education who believes Donald Trump is Jesus. Seriously, you are every bit as bad as the person who sits and watches Fox News on repeat and believes everything that they say. Because I've analyzed both of the networks, all the major networks. I've been on all the major networks. I've been on MSNBC dozens of times. I've been on Fox dozens of times. I've been on CNN dozens of times. And I can just tell you that they all have an agenda, and it should absolutely be insulting to any intelligent person that's in the room. That's why I reiterate to you very clearly, this is a platform for intelligent black people. So if you're not in that category, you definitely need to go, because this is going to hurt your feelings. So let's look at some of the math here. Okay, so 340 infections out of what was it, 5,213 tests. So let's see, 5, 2, 1, 3. All right, that's so that's about a 6.5% infection rate. Okay, 6.5%. All right, 0.065. All right, let's write that down just so we can keep that in our head. So let's remember, infection does not mean that you're going to die, right? Infection, because I mean, again, if they think about this, here's what was so fascinating. When they told, this is another thing that had me cracking up. When they told me that anybody who appeared to have COVID when they died was going to be defined as having died of COVID, it not just tested positive. They said anybody who tests positive for COVID at the time of death will be defined as having died of COVID. If you appear to have the symptoms of somebody who had COVID when you died, you were going to be defined as having died from COVID. I said, man, that's crazy. Imagine if they did that with, like, I don't know, herpes. Like, imagine if every person that died was tested for herpes. And because I knew a doctor who tested for herpes. She said, oh, she said, that's everywhere. That's it. Like, a lot of people got it. They don't even know they got it. Imagine the rate of herpes death would like increase by 100,000%. Right? Or imagine, or if they did that with a cold, like he was sniffling and he had a cold when he died in the car crash. So we're going to write down that he died of a cold. That's crazy. So let me keep going. Let me read some of this. So the percentage of positive cases were assumed to represent the entire population of 900,000, which would mean that 58,000 people have had the virus in that one county alone, far more than the nearly 700 official confirmed. So they're saying that based on their data of testing 5,213 people, if you extrapolate that number, which I don't think that that you have all the assumptions in place to do that, but if you did just sort of a straight extrapolation, that would mean that the number of people that have actually been exposed to the virus is much higher than the public health officials have recognized. A lot of that, in my opinion, is for 2 reasons. One, because they're not testing everybody. And number 2, a lot of people have it and they get a little sick. They have a few, sniffles. They do what I would probably do, which is I'd stay in the bed. Alicia would bring me chicken soup and hot toddies for about 3 days, and I'd be watching a lot of Netflix, and then I'd be fine on day 3. And then there are also a lot of people that don't have any symptoms at all. I read a story about a black family, where that virus went through the entire family. Everybody in the family had it, and nobody knew that they had it because most of them didn't have any symptoms. And then the ones that did have symptoms, and the father was the oldest one in the house. He, like a lot of black men, I think had some issues, maybe some high blood pressure, maybe some diabetes. And he started showing more symptoms. So they took him to the doctor, tested him, found out that he had it. And then they tested everybody else, found out everybody else had it and didn't even know it. So anyway, let me keep reading here. Let me get back here. They said that many cases would indicate there's a widespread COVID-19 infection similar to the flu. Now, here's what I want you to point out to you. When you read the statement by spokeswoman Michelle Corson from the Kern County Public Health Services Department, she said, here's what she said. She said they did not agree with the doctor's recommendation to end social distancing and immediately start reopening society. She did not agree with the recommendation, but it doesn't say that they don't agree with the data. They sound, again, they're being political here. They're going to be very, very careful. They're saying that we do not agree with their recommendation to immediately reopen society. And they also said they don't agree with the decision to end social distancing. So what's fascinating is myself, right, as a person who's a skeptic, who has been called a denier. I'm not a denier. I've never denied that this wasn't real. But I also agree that you shouldn't have an immediate reopening of society, right? So just because you don't agree that we should reopen society right away, and just because you think social distancing is okay, I've always been social distancing anyway, because that's just how I live. When I'm around people, I'm around people. When I'm not, I'm at home. I'm pretty much social distance as a general condition. That's not saying that they don't see what the doctors are saying. I think that they see what the doctors are saying, and they're trying to be political. They're trying to be careful, because a politician who hears what the doctors are saying, and the doctors say this in their press conference, they said, every ER doctor we know agrees with us. All of the ER doctors have the same opinion. And I was like, wow, he said, all? That's crazy. They can't find one ER doctor to come out and say, oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. Pay attention. Listen. Are you listening to me? Just give me a yes or no in the chat. Like, are you hearing what I'm saying? Do you understand that it's how fascinating that is, that they can't find one scientist? They can't go to Harvard or Yale or Stanford or Johns Hopkins and find any doctors that will dispute what they're saying, that will come out and say, no, this is terrible. We're all going to die. This is I think that's really fascinating. Really interesting. So because I can tell you, scientists and scholars argue all the time. We have fundamental foundational theories in finance, one called the efficient markets hypothesis, one of the most famous theories in all of finance. And if you gathered 10 finance PhDs in a room and asked them what they thought about that theory, you would have the biggest fight of your life. Our opinions were not in agreement, in lockstep on that issue. And that's one of the most important foundational theories in all of finance. So if we can argue over something that has literally won a Nobel Prize, then wouldn't you think that there would be doctors that would argue with these doctors who are saying that this COVID thing is not as big of a deal as the politicians are making it out to be? Who's leading the charge on this? Who's leading the charge on this? The scientists or the politicians? Because I don't know about y'all, but I don't want the politicians leading us in our scientific interpretation of the data. I want to hear from the scientists. I want to hear from the scientists, and I want to hear from the numbers. I want to hear from scientists giving me numbers. I don't want to hear from politicians giving me spin, because we know without a doubt that the spin is a bunch of BS. So let me keep reading here. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Let me see here. Let's see here. And if we don't shut down the entire country for flu, why should we keep doing it for corona? That's what these guys are saying. Quote, he said, it's about looking at trends and saying that we're not seeing what they've been talking about for the past 6 to 8 weeks, said Dr. Masihi, referring to predictions that up to 100,000 Americans could die of the virus and hospitals would be swamped with patients. We have crippled the economy. There's a lot of domestic issues going on. is social isolation warranted for the healthy? So they're basically saying, again, I've been saying this. I mean, but I'm glad doctors are saying it, because I'm not a doctor, but I just said, if you're healthy, it doesn't seem like this thing is killing you. When you show me that the odds of a young person under the age of 50 dying, even if they get infected, are like 1 in 100 or 1 in 200, I don't understand staying home, having everybody stay home from work for that. I just don't. And one of the things that the doctor actually did point out that I agreed with is he said, if you're getting a paycheck, if during the quarantine you're getting a paycheck, your opinion is going to be very different in many cases from people who are getting no paycheck, who have no ability to pay the bills. In fact, that's why I say everybody who has that opinion, who says, oh, we should never go out, it's dangerous. Okay, if you however you're surviving, wherever you're getting your money from, we're going to take the money out of your bank account and we're going to give it to a family that's going to go out here and put their lives on the line in your mind and go out and do the work. And we're going to see if your opinion changes if we take away your money. Now, you said research Sweden. That's an excellent point. So here's what they pointed out. They did bring up this during the press conference. They said, what about social distancing? Maybe your results are showing that social distancing is working. That, because I knew they were going to say that. I said, the Democrats are probably going to say, oh, social distancing was working so well, it worked better than we thought, and we kept the country safe because that's why, we prevented a crisis, right? And so here's what they did. Here's what they did. Pay attention now. They went out and they studied 2 countries, Norway and Sweden. Norway locked it down. Norway did a full lockdown like we did in the United States. Sweden did not. Sweden went after what they call herd immunity, where they just said, you know what, let's just keep on living life. It's unfortunate that a few people are going to die, but people die every year from the flu, and death is a part of life. So we're just going to, keep living life as we've lived it before. They said that, pay attention now, there was no statistically significant difference between Norway and Sweden. They said there was no statistically significant difference in the death rates of the country that had a full lockdown and the country that had no lockdown. And we know that, one of the things I've also heard is that, well, if you let the healthy people go out, they can get it and they can give it to the more vulnerable. Well, the same thing can happen with the flu. If you got an 85-year-old grandfather who's in hospice or who's in, a nursing home, which a lot of people go to nursing homes because they're so sick that their families can't take care of them, and you got the flu, don't go see granddaddy and shake his hand. Don't go give grandma a kiss in the nursing home when you got the flu, because grandma might not be able to make it through the flu just like you could. So let's just keep it 100. Like, any type of virus can take out somebody who is old and vulnerable and unhealthy. And so what a lot of people are pointing out are examples of young, healthy people that, that have died from that virus. And my heart goes out to them. It really does. But every single year you can point out babies that died from the flu. Every single year you can point out healthy teenagers who got the flu and died. Every year you can point out college athletes who got the flu and died. So at the end of the day, I'm telling people to look at the data. Look at the damn data. If you're not looking at the data, then I'm sorry. I'm going to have to say, people who don't look at the numbers and who don't listen to the scientists, those are not the smart people in our society, right? So if you think that listening to your favorite politician exceeds the importance of looking at actual facts and data from scientists, then I can't help you. You're too stupid to be on this channel. You should go to a channel where they're going to feed you whatever lie they can. Let's just hope that they don't tell you something that's going to kill you, because that's what they're going to do. They're definitely going to kill you and keep you broke if you keep on letting other people guide you through your life. You got to learn to think for yourself. So using the same calculation, Erickson estimates that 12% of the population statewide, or 4.7 million Californians, have already had COVID, with about 1,400 deaths so far. They said that the statewide death rate is about 0.03%. Does that low death rate necessitate sheltering in place? He said. Does that necessitate shutting down medical systems? Does that necessitate being out of work? He asked. Nationwide, about 42,000 people have died from the virus as of Wednesday, between 30 and 60,000 every year from the flu. Every year from the flu, between 30 and 60,000 die. So far, again, maybe this thing is going to just pop out and jump out of a box and suddenly just kill everybody. But at this point, if there's a race in death between the flu and the corona, the flu has the corona beat by quite a bit, by thousands of deaths. Now, it does not mean Corona can't catch up and pass the flu, but let's say it does pass the flu. Let's say that, the flu kills 60,000, Corona kills 80,000. The question becomes, was that worth everybody losing their job? Was that worth putting 20-something million people out of work? Was that worth all the suicides that are going to happen from people losing their homes and being financially devastated? Was that worth all the murders and carjackings that are going to happen when people realize that they got to find a way to feed their kids and they're willing to do anything to get it done? Was that worth all the depression and all the other health issues that come from the social isolation? Was that worth the fact that the fear itself actually weakens your immune system, which can make you vulnerable to any virus that you catch? So you catch the flu, you're old and you're not healthy already, and you're scared half to death. Well, guess what? Your immune system weakens because of that. So then you're more susceptible to death from anything. So let's keep going. So the California has reported that hospital volumes are significantly decreased in recent weeks as elective surgeries have been canceled. So a lot of people that need surgery, so a lot of people are dying, a lot of people are getting sicker because they need surgery, they need things to happen. They can't go to the doctor because the hospitals have been overflowed by the whole Corona conversation, right? Let's see here. And many people are staying home for fear of contracting COVID. So you have sick people who have cancer or need, serious surgeries or whatever, who are not going to the doctor because they're afraid, oh my God, I'm already sick. If I go to the doctor, I can catch COVID and then I can die from COVID. So some of those people are dying too. Erickson wondered what could happen when the economy reopens and people begin flooding into hospitals that have reduced their staffs. He said local leaders and colleagues of his here and across the country are reporting increased incidents of child molestation and domestic violence while people are at home. And suicides are also spiking. He also noted a contradiction between allowing people to shop at Costco and Home Depot, but not allowing them to go to church. Quote, if you're going to dance on someone's constitutional rights, you better have a good reason. You better have a really good reason, not just a theory. The data is showing us that it's time to lift the stay-at-home order so that we don't lift them. What's the reason? So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and play some of this video as well, so you guys can actually hear the doctors speak in their own words. I sped it up a little bit. And once again, shout out to Rizza Islam and Willie D for sharing the video. I got it on Willie D's page. Rizza Islam is the person that originally shared it. So I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. And so here's the video, and I'm gonna let you guys just hear from the doctors, and you can make your own decision as long as it's your decision and not the decision of your favorite politician. So here we go.
Unknown always scares us. So in my opinion, what are the risks, what are the benefits of social isolation? And we think that the risks of social isolation are too high.
So you guys own and run this facility, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. We have 7, yes. All of them.
What would you say to critics who would say, well, they've got a stake in this game, they are pushing this data or their representation of this data because they don't want to lose money? What would you say to those folks who say, I'm going to believe, maybe someone else who, the wider world scientific community who says these 2 doctors, despite their, intelligence, they have an ulterior motive? What would you say to those people?
Talk to ER doctors who have no ulterior motive. They have the same viewpoint. There's a post today from a doctor from Wisconsin. I encourage you all to read it. I'll share his story with you. It is exactly what we're saying. And he eloquently displays, he's an ER doctor. He says, I'm walking into this war zone. Our ICUs are empty. I'm scared to go to my own place of work. There's no patients, but we have people in hazmat suits checking my temperature as I walk through the doors. He's like, something else is going on here. This is not about science, and it's not even about COVID. When they use the word safe, if you listen to the word safe, that's about controlling you. So when I talk to all my ER doctors who work in a hospital, no stake in the game, same opinion. That's how I'll answer your question. We all have the same opinion.
So then you say that hospitals are losing money right now, most of them. But at the same time, you said earlier that doctors are feeling pressure from hospital administrations to put COVID down as a reason of death, which would presumably instill more fear in people. Doesn't that go against that whole line of thought? Why would they do that if it was going to cause more fear and cause them to lose more money?
Exactly.
Hey guys, let me know if you're able to hear. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you're able to hear the video. Type yes or no so I can just know for sure that everybody can hear it. If you're on Instagram and you can't see the video, you want to see it, just go to drboystv.com and you can actually watch the video from there, drboystv.com. Let me know if you can hear it. Okay, I'm starting to see the yeses come through. Okay, good. Yeah, so let me point out this quick point. One thing that got my attention was when the doctor mentioned that a lot of the ER doctors have the same opinion, that the people working in the emergency rooms, the frontline soldiers, the ones who are exposed to all this, who know more than we do, right? They know more than I do. They know more than you do. They know more than the politicians know. He said that they all have the same opinion. I was very surprised to hear him say that, because I would have expected, I was looking for dissenting opinions. I try my best to find people who disagree with me so I can see if I'm missing something. And I was stunned when he said, we all agree, that if they all got together, they would all agree. So if you don't agree, if you think this is all a bunch of BS, I need to ask you, what are you, what are you leaning on? Lori, you say I'm spewing dangerous opinions. Okay. What facts, what data do you have to support your opinion? Where's your data? If you don't have data, then you got to go to the people that have the data. The scientists have the data. The ER doctors on the front lines have the data. So get some statistics to back your opinion. Don't just say what you're saying is dangerous. Why is it dangerous? I think it's more dangerous to tell somebody to stay home and lose their job and put their family on the street than it is to get facts and information. Okay. The other thing that he mentioned is money. You guys know, as a financial expert, I follow the money too. The money is a critical element to, okay, sorry about that. The money is a critical element to all of this, right? You can't talk about the healthcare industry without talking about the money. The money is the driver behind why your healthcare system is so bad. The money is the driver behind why they care more about dollar bills than about human life. The money is the reason why they weren't even prepared, even if a real pandemic had happened. And I don't think this is a real, I'm getting the sense this isn't real. I think some of this might have been, I wouldn't say politically driven. It became politically motivated after people turned it into a political football. But I think in the beginning, I think that they thought it was something that it wasn't. And now that they're finding out that it wasn't what they thought it was, there are people that are working to try to hold on to their truth. And again, anybody holding on to your truth, I would ask you to just go find some data to prove me wrong. Find something that shows that what I'm saying is bullshit. Because if you can't do that, then that means that you're full of crap. That means that you're a liar. That means that whoever told you what they told you has turned you into a liar by giving you false information. So let me play more of this video. So we're listening to two ER doctors in Bakersfield, California, who basically did a study on the virus and found some things out that are not consistent with what you've been hearing in the media. Here we go.
There's something else going on, and that's a different discussion.
We don't know. I mean, we're just here to present scientific facts.
That's a political discussion.
Do you think some hospital administrators are undercutting their own bottom line?
We're presenting the medical data here. I mean, what I think about politics is irrelevant. We're presenting the medical.
We need to stay on things that we can answer intelligently, which is not why does the CEO of some hospital in Wisconsin do that. We need to stay on the topic of, do we need to shelter in place, and does that make sense from the microbiology knowledge we've known for 30 years? The sciences haven't changed. We live our life in the life sciences, biology, biochemistry, microbiology. So everything that you're asking us goes against that sheet of information. Why people do things at a hospital is not really our area of expertise. So from what we've seen right now, it's time to open back up. The science says it is. The models we have been using from predictions to predict the amount of disease are not accurate. This information is accurate. It models the flu. Let's go back to work. That's what the data is saying. Not models. Data is saying that.
Would you say, though, that, like a situation in New York City, that's not like a flu? I mean, the hospitals there are completely overwhelmed and swamped, and people, working in ERs are dying from this. So, I mean, that's not just a flu type situation, right?
Look at Italy in 2017. Hospital systems overwhelmed. People.
Okay, so pay attention to what they just asked. They asked about New York City, which is a great question. What's going on in New York City? How do you explain New York City? So he's referencing something that happened in 2017. So apparently there was some sort of flu outbreak in 2017. So check this out. Listen to this.
People dying, overwhelmed system from the flu. This happens from the flu. If you've been working in the ERs, I've seen multiple people, hallways full, people dying, news media there, stories going on from the flu. This does happen. This does happen.
It's not just the flu. It's
No.
the flu. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. People think it's just the flu. It's just coronavirus. What's the difference? You're used to the flu. You're used to saying it's just the flu. FLU, influenza, is something we've grown up with. You're used to it. You're used to it, right? If somebody commits suicide today, you're like, yeah, that person committed suicide. It's awful. Or if somebody dies today from the flu, they died from the flu. It's awful. Terrible, but we're used to it. We're not used to coronavirus. Not used to something brings fear. Human beings don't
I
like change.
understand. I just, from the things I've been reading, even, doctors working in the ERs in New York City, I haven't heard any one of them saying, oh, it's similar to a flu outbreak. They were pretty impacted by swine flu in New York City, but I haven't heard anybody really say, oh, it's just like swine flu was. Have you?
They're getting hit hard. They're a hot zone. And we don't ride subways with, 1,000 people in a small car. They're this close. They had reasons for the disease. And coronavirus is shown to be very contagious. Let's be clear. It is contagious. We're not saying it's not. It may even be, from what I've read, more contagious and spread more rapid. But the actual cause of death and the disease cycle is similar to what we're seeing from the flu, with more of a respiratory component. And they were screaming for ventilators. What percent of people die on ventilators? 80, 90%? Once you're on a ventilator, if you understand, you're in a bad shape. And they're screaming for 30,000 ventilators that they didn't use, right? They're screaming for a lot of things. 30,000, they used 5. How many 100% over did they order? How many hundreds of millions of dollars? Entire companies, GM, were forced to switch their production lines. For what? I'm saying the secondary causes of what we're seeing, oil shutdown. We have predictable negatives from.
Okay. So I'm going to jump in real quick on something that they mentioned that I want to point your attention to. They talked about this issue with ventilators. They mentioned that in the beginning, they were screaming for 30,000 ventilators. They said, we're going to need 30,000 ventilators, and they used 5. Now, I don't know if he was talking about for the whole country or just for New York. And he said, so the number of ventilators they said we were going to need, we actually only needed about 1/6 of that number. Doesn't mean that you don't engage in overkill. That's fine. But again, it feeds to that basic point that I've been making to you, that there was an overreaction. There was an overreaction. Can we at least agree that thus far, based on the data, that the results have not matched, have not come close to the predictions? There were lots of predictions of doom and gloom. There were predictions that so many people are going to die. Even Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, was basically saying leaving your house is similar to death, or it's going to be death. And I didn't like that. I felt like that was a lot of fear mongering. And one thing they mentioned also about ventilators is they said, I like hearing from the doctors. I love hearing from the people that know what the hell they're talking about. They said the ventilator, you get on a ventilator, it ain't looking good for you. You get on a ventilator, you have an 80 to 90% chance of dying once they put you on the ventilator. Is, unfortunately, it seems, the place that, you take people when they're about to die. You put them on a ventilator when that's the last resort. So, so effectively, what it seems like they're talking about is, they're talking about the disease cycle. They're talking about cause of death. And they're just breaking down these scientific terms in a way where I think the smart people now people, the masses can do what they want. People that, the sheep or people that follow politicians can do whatever they want. But I'm going to tell you that those who are smart, I'm always a believer that smart Black people are the canaries in the mine. Some Black folks are not. Some Black folks are just followers, right? And that's fine. But the smart Black people are the canaries in the mine. And my goal is to share with you what I'm seeing in hopes that it'll help you see what you need to see in order for you and your family to be safe and successful. If you listen to my podcast, I am the biggest, the biggest doom and gloom predictor in the world when it comes to Black folks, in the sense that I've always felt that there are a million ways they're trying to kill you. There are a million ways they're trying to incarcerate you. There are a million ways they're trying to hold you back. There's a million ways they're trying to keep you broke. There's a million ways they're trying to destroy you. There's a million ways they're trying to destroy your children, right? Everything from the conversations, honest conversations we've had about things like abortion. Why are all the Planned Parenthood clinics in the Black neighborhoods? We've talked about mass incarceration. We've talked about all the violence against Black people, both provoked by whites and Blacks. I talked about drug cartels sending their drugs through Chicago, causing massive amounts of death in the Black community, and why that means that we need to have our own policy on immigration that is not just whatever the hell the Democrats tell us to think, right? I've talked about that. I mean, I'm the wet blanket. I'm usually the biggest downer at the party, because I'm the one who screams at Black people, why are y'all out here singing and dancing and having parties all the damn time when you need to be focused on strategy and a battle plan, because they are coming to kill you, and they've been trying to do that since birth. So why wouldn't you go out into the world prepared educationally, economically, and otherwise? I am the biggest on earth when it comes to warning you about the dangers that lie ahead. So if I normally do that, if I'm normally the guy who's warning about all the dangers that affect Black people that we're not paying attention to, why is it that suddenly I'm the guy who's saying that the danger is not there, right? That why am I suddenly the guy who's like, man, this don't add up to me. This ain't, I know some of y'all gonna get mad, but I got to give you the truth. And here's what I think also. Here's the deal. I got a good friend by the name of Killer Mike, who's a rapper and activist and a very intelligent man down in Atlanta. And Killer Mike made a statement where he said that he's not going to open his barbershop at any time in the near future, because he does not agree with the governor's order to reopen the state. I respect that completely. I completely respect that. What I have to challenge, though, is that I don't believe that the opinions would be the same if the governor were a Democrat instead of a Republican, right? I also will say this. I'm not here to tell you, just like you can't tell a young man whether or not it makes sense for him to sign up for the military. Some people will say, why would you sign up for the military, especially in a time of war? My daddy, when he signed up in Vietnam, people were like, why would you do that? If you go to the military, you could die. Well, he made the decision to go because he said, I'm willing to risk death to take a chance to get out of the situation that I'm in. I'm willing to risk whatever might happen in Vietnam so that I can have some money in my pocket and so I can have somewhere to go. So that's why he made that decision. And it wasn't necessarily the right or wrong decision. It was a decision he made under his own free will based on his situation and the risks he was willing to take. So the same thing is true for your decision to get up and go to work, or to go back and reopen your business, or to go and do what you're going to do for your family. I don't think any Democrat or any Republican has a right to make you feel bad, about what you choose to do. If you want to stay home, if you're still afraid, I've done everything I can to lay out the data so that you can make your own decision. If you're still scared, then and you got it like that, like you have the money to stay home, then fine. I mean, I think staying home is cool. I like staying home. I'm going to stay home after this is over with. So I'm going to be right here with you. If you're at home and I'm at home, maybe we can call each other at 2:00 in the afternoon, because neither one of us going to have to go to work that day. So staying home is actually really a lot of fun, in case you want to know my opinion. But if you're a person that has a business and you want to reopen your business, and your state allows you to open your business, and you open your business, I'm not going to look at you like you some crazy idiot because you're opening your business. If you got to go to work and you want to have the money to pay your mortgage, and maybe you're falling behind in the bills, and you tell me that's what you chose to do, I'm probably going to say, I would probably do the same damn thing. And the other thing that's true as well is, if you have a business, if you like a Killer Mike and you got a barbershop, Killer Mike's got money from all kinds of sources. So I doubt if he even needs the barbershop money. But if you're a guy who, let's say you run a barbershop and you have clients that really want to get into your barbershop, and there's another barbershop down the block and they got clients, but they want to get your clients, and they open up and you don't open up, and you come out, let's say you open up in a month, you're going to lose a lot of business, because a lot of people are going to go down to the guy down the street who's opened his doors. I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen. I think now you're going to start seeing a mad rush of people going back to get jobs that are going to be available, because they're going to be people who've been convinced by politicians to stay in their house longer than what is necessary, right? And then when they finally come outside, and that job that you thought was going to be yours has been taken by somebody who decided to go take that job, then those politicians who told you to stay home, who told you to not feed your family so they can pursue their agenda against Trump or whoever they got the agenda with, call them up and see if they'll help pay your damn bills. Call them up and see if they'll help you cover the mortgage. Because I'm telling you, man, you're in this by yourself. Black people ain't got no friends. You ain't got no damn friends. So I'm just telling you, at the end of the day, whatever decision you make sure that you're prepared to deal with the ups and the downs of that decision. Because if the shit hits the fan, if it goes wrong, if you look back and we find out that some of this was a bunch of bullshit and that they kept people in their house 3 weeks longer than they needed to be, and you lose out on thousands of dollars worth of opportunity because of it, you're going to be mad. And none of those people who manipulated you are going to deal with any of those consequences that come from the fact that you can't feed your damn kids. So that's what I'm saying. That's my 2 cents. I'm a big believer in freedom. I believe in something that's very rare in America called freedom. It's very rare, but freedom says, I support whatever decision you make as long as you think it through and it's the best decision for your family. That's what I believe. So let me keep reading more of this to you, or let me play more of this video. We should finish this.
From lockdown, predictable negatives. Corona has unpredictable negatives.
You know, I see what you're saying. I mean, it sounds like you're saying, we actually have some data to look at now, and in the beginning we didn't really know, but now we can draw some conclusions.
And those conclusions that you guys are able to draw, really the entire nation, do you think, receptively the numbers are low in those ratios that you were mentioning, the fatality versus how many people have them, because we've been social distancing? Now, you don't think it's because since we started doing it?
Now, pay attention now. What they're asking them about is, do you think that the lower numbers you're seeing, so they're acknowledging the numbers now. Now they're acknowledging that the death rate is not what everybody said it was going to be. So now they're saying, again, I figured this was going to happen. What's going to happen, I'm predicting here, I'm being the canary in the mine. The Democrats are watching this. Some of them are pretty smart people. They're going to look at this and say, oh my God, we overreacted. How are we going to cover our shit? So the way they're going to cover their ass, pay attention now, is they're going to start saying, social distancing worked, y'all. It worked. It was great. It was great, right? That's what's going to happen. So they're asking him now, do you think social distancing is the reason that your numbers have been low? So listen to their response. It's very interesting.
That those models that Harvard County Health shows how effective social distancing is, that's all false.
But that's why we went over Sweden and Norway. We went over Sweden and Norway because you have lockdown, no lockdown. Sweden, no lockdown. Norway, lockdown. That's 10 million, 15 million people. We have the data. That's what I just went over with you. Lockdown.
Norway and Sweden also have drastically different testing standards and metrics. Norway is basically testing everybody. Sweden, they're only testing you behind the
No, that's not correct. They're not testing everybody.
Well, of course, they're not testing all 5.5 million Norwegians, but their testing is much more widespread.
The bottom line is, from those of us who study it and have a background in this, is lockdown versus non-lockdown did not produce a statistically different number of deaths. That is the bottom line.
Okay, did you catch that? Did you guys hear that? Yes or no, did you hear what he said? He said in Norway, where they had a lockdown, and in Sweden, where they had no lockdown, there was not, as statisticians call, a statistically significant difference. There was not a statistically significant difference in the number of deaths between Norway and Sweden, or I don't know if they're talking about the number of deaths or the mortality rate, but they're saying, and these are guys who studied this, these are guys who did the science, and they also, they challenged the entire profession and basically said, none of the ER doctors disagree with us. All of them agree with us. So that makes me say, okay, where are the doctors who disagree? Why are they not speaking out? Show me, email me. My email is boyce@boycewatkins.com. I need y'all to email me video press conferences or articles written by ER doctors, frontline people. These are the frontline heroes that are out here fighting this virus. A video or press conference or anything from an ER doctor who disputes what's being said here, who's saying that, look, this particular research is a complete hoax and the virus is killing everyone. Like I want to see that. I want to see the people that disagree with me. I don't want to. And now here's what I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear you disagree with me and get mad because I'm not parakeeting whatever Nancy Pelosi said. I think that makes you stupid. I'm sorry. If you're reciting what the Democrats have been telling you on MSNBC, that makes you stupid. If you're reciting what the Republicans said, that makes you stupid. I want facts. I want numbers. I want data. I want to hear from scientists. I do not want to hear from you and your raggedy ass opinion that you got from watching TV on repeat. You've been hanging on CNN and watching CNN and you don't know the agenda. So you're going to come at me with anger because that's all you got. You ain't got no facts. All you got is anger. The only fact you got is that it is a fact that you're pissed off because what I'm saying does not coincide with however you feel. So, by the way, I want to say thank you, Jerome. Jerome, I saw your donation. Thank you, brother. He said he was talking about voting, and he said in our household, we're not voting for the Republicans or the Democrats, and they call it a boy sit. So I guess they call it a black sit. Some people call it a black sit. They call it a boy sit. That's pretty funny. Well, I'm not telling you what to do, though. Just so you know, I'm not telling anybody who to vote for, who not to vote for. I want to make that 100% clear. I'm a believer in freedom, and freedom means you make your own decision. Those who disagree with me are not believers in freedom. Anybody who tells you that freedom for black people means that we're going to pressure the shit out of you and ostracize you because you didn't vote for the politician we wanted you to vote for, those are not people who believe in your freedom. Those are people who, that's like when, you know what it is? It's almost like when Tupac got bailed out of jail by Suge Knight, and Suge Knight said, I'm going to give you your freedom. You gonna come work with me at death row, right? Was he really giving Pac his freedom, or was he just giving him taking him out of the frying pan and putting him into the fire, right? Or was he really? When one pimp comes and bails you out from another pimp, are they offering you freedom, or are they just offering you a different kind of slavery, right? Because we know the history of Death Row Records. We know what it was like being around Suge Knight. Suge Knight, working with Suge Knight was not a pleasant experience. Suge Knight will get your ass killed. A rapper friend of mine told me about the time he slapped the hell out of Snoop Dogg on a cruise ship or so. I don't know if that story is true or not, but that's what he said. He said somebody called him and told him about it back in the day. So Suge Knight was not a pleasant person. So Suge Knight bails out Pac and says, I'm gonna give you your freedom as long as you sign this contract and agree to do what I tell you to do, right? That ain't really freedom. So the Democrats kind of do a Suge Knight on the black community. They're like, we gonna give you your freedom, but you better do what we say, nigga, right? That ain't freedom. That is not freedom. Somebody who removes you from one desperate situation and puts you in a different situation is not liberating you. They're just repositioning you. It's not a vertical promotion. It's a horizontal move, as they call it in corporate America. So I believe in freedom. Freedom to me means you do what you want to do. On election day, go out and vote for whoever the hell you want. I'm not going to ask you who you voted for. I'm not going to shame you based on who you voted for. And then just come right back and we just finish the conversation. We'll start talking about black people again. And, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, but I'm not telling anybody what to do. I want to make that 100% clear. So let's get
Right, so people could be dying in their home for some other things, but it's proven that they're not being tested and they don't know what the cause of that is.
Yeah, and if you're to give me a test on analyzing these numbers and I probably wouldn't perform so well. I guess what I'm trying to cross-reference is I hear our president, I hear our governor say social distancing is working. And you guys are saying it's not needed. So I guess that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around. Like, why is that?
It was needed initially.
Are they lying?
It was needed initially. They actually, we both agree with exactly what they did initially because we didn't know. It was an unknown. Now it is becoming known. Initially, when you don't know something, you're extra careful because you're fearful. It's just like when you see a patient and they're very sick, you test for everything because you're scared. You're fearful. But then as you see more of those patients, you realize, hey, I know what to test for, right? It's shotgun effect versus sniper effect, right? So initially when this data came out of a new virus that's lethal, they went all out. And I think that was appropriate. But now that we have the data, we're seeing that 97% of patients completely recover. And those 4 patients that die, they have over 90% comorbidities. Let's run through that one more time. Out of 100 people, if 96 do fine, the 4 that die, 90% of those 4 have comorbidities. Heart failure, emphysema, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus. They're on immunomodulating medications. They're immunodeficient, HIV. These are the people that are dying. You get some healthy people that die, but that's an infinitesimal number.
Okay, so I'm gonna drop the mic right there on this. If you guys want to watch more of this press conference, and there's about 2 or 3 more minutes left. Again, shout out to Rizza Islam and Willie D for sharing the video, and that's where I got it. You can actually look the doctors up and do your own research. Don't just listen to me, because for all I know, for all y'all know, I could be lying. I could be making this up. I could be trying to get you killed. So look these guys up. Their names are Dr. Artin Masihi, Massihi, and Dr. Dan Erickson. Dr. Dan Erickson and Dr. Artin Masihi in Bakersfield, California. They did research on the COVID situation, and basically have concluded that the mortality rates and all this stuff that it mimics a lot of what they see with the flu. And also the last point that was really interesting was they asked them about social distancing, and they're saying, so are you saying that social distancing isn't necessary? I love the fact that they said, no, social distancing was necessary in the beginning. It was. I've also always made 100% clear that I've been social distancing since the beginning of this thing. I was in Atlanta with Andre C. Hatchett, and Alicia was there, and I said, let's keep the family safe. Let's go home. Let's quarantine. Let's do what we're supposed to do. Cancel all events. We even moved our wedding back a year. We did all kinds of stuff. I mean, we canceled a lot of everything because we didn't know what we were dealing with. But the thing is, there's a type of courage that you have to keep questioning things, keep observing things. Don't let people control what you think without providing evidence and proof of what they're trying to convince you of. And so what they said was that after they did all their studies, after they took all the precautions and did social distancing and bought all these test kits, they went through the test kits and they said, my God, I understand why people thought it was one thing, but it turns out that it's another thing. And I saw Dr. Rashid Buttar. I don't know him. I know you mentioned the interview. I did watch that interview. I suggest people look at it. I don't really want to keep digging into this too much, to be honest with you. I think that this whole situation with COVID, I only talk about it because I believe in people having access to all points of view on a topic, so that you can make your best decision. And so one of the things that they mentioned about COVID that I thought was really interesting as well is they said that, that it has a 90% comorbidity rate. That basically they said, if you have 100 people in a room that have the disease, 100 people in the room that catch it, 4 of them will die. 4 of them will die. And then what they said is, out of that 4, and this is something, remember, if you go back, go watch my videos from 2 weeks ago, I was actually pointing this out because it didn't add up. The numbers didn't add up. They said 4 of those 100 people are going to die. 96 will be fine. 4 will die. And out of the 4 that die, they have 90% comorbidity, meaning that they could have been taken out by the flu. He mentioned HIV. He mentioned, things like lupus, and a lot of it, I got friends and stuff that have had lupus. So my Aunt Debbie died from lupus, and I can tell you when she died, her immune system was very weak. So what it really kind of says is that as a general precaution at any point, whether you're talking about now or last year or 5 years from now, a person that has, pre-existing conditions has to be careful in general. If you have pre-existing conditions, if you're 85 years old and you've got diabetes and or heart disease or HIV or whatever, you have to be careful because a lot of viruses can take you out. What they are also saying, though, is that you can't shut down all of society because of something that isn't proven to be more lethal than the flu. Because what's going to happen is that the cure will be worse than the original diagnosis. The cure will be worse than the disease. I've heard people say that, and I never said that because I wanted to be careful before I said it. But if you look at what's happening, first of all, this economic devastation is going to affect you for years. This ain't about supporting capitalism. This is about supporting people that have jobs. It's about supporting people that want to feed their families. So get off that whole capitalism, socialism bullshit. That's what those politicians feed you. They, when they talk about Ocasio Cortez or the other guy on the other side, Mitch McConnell, they're all into the big business thing and these bigger views of socialism and capitalism. And people are starting to use this as a political animal. They're starting to spin the conversation into pre-existing agendas, right? They're starting, the left is starting to spin it into conversations about, fair wages, and raising the minimum wage. And I think all that's great, right? And the Republicans are pushing into issues about supporting big business and giving big $10 million loans to companies that don't need the money. Like that's what's going on. What's going on is the politicians are very strategic. And the politicians have got to the point where they're like, okay, now that we've got people's emotions under our control, now that we're controlling their emotions, let's use this emotional energy to pass the legislation that we want to push. Back in the 1980s, there was this Republican prick in office by the name of Ronald Reagan. And when Ronald Reagan was in office, Reagan had a pre-existing agenda. He had the I think they might have called it neoconservative, maybe they called it something else, but basically the William F. Buckley and people like that had sort of formed this movement in the conservative space. And they had ideas about, the size of government, supporting corporations, things like that. So here's what happened. The best day of Ronald Reagan's life, politically, was the day that a guy named John Hinckley tried to shoot him to death. A guy named John Hinckley pulled out a gun and shot him, and Reagan almost died in the hospital. He went to the hospital. Everybody was kind of panicked and freaked out, wondered if Reagan was going to die. He went to the hospital, but he did not die. And so because he went through this and he did not die, he gained a lot of public sympathy. People became very emotional. And right when everybody's emotions were under their control, when the politicians picked up on the fact that, okay, now that we've got everyone emotional about possibly losing their president, we should not waste these emotions. Let's use these emotions as an opportunity to pass all the legislation that we've been trying to pass that they weren't going to let us get away with a year ago, right? So what they did was they passed legislation at that time that changed everything from the capital gains tax rate to what wealthy people pay in taxes, all kinds of stuff. And those changes actually are part of what has led to your government being so deep in debt that they're eventually going to go bankrupt. Right now, the government is about $23 trillion in debt. And I think that the annual tax revenues are about $3 or $4 trillion. So that's like a person making $30,000 a year and being almost $250,000 in debt. If you are making $30,000 a year and you got $250,000 in student loan debt, are you ever going to be able to repay that debt? Yes or no? Are you ever going to be out of debt? Give me a yes or no. The answer is no, because you're living on the edge. You're living on the edge. Our government is living on the edge economically. And it all started back during the Reagan era when the politicians were able to manipulate public sentiment and utilize all these emotions to get legislation passed. Same thing happened in 9/11. They passed a lot of shit right after 9/11 because everybody was so scared that they felt that the government was going to keep them safe. Well, right now they're doing the same damn thing. They're working to pass through all kinds of stuff. They shoved that bill they passed, whatever the CARES Act and all that. They shoved it with so much pork, it's ridiculous, right? So at the end of the day, that's what's going on. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing extreme manipulation. It bothers me. It ain't going to work for me. It's not going to do it for me. I'm not going out wearing a damn mask. I bought masks. You know what? I bought a box of masks just because I don't want to be the asshole who is breaking all the rules. I bought a bunch of masks because, we got a 9-year-old who, hears her grandmother tell her that, that we could all die tomorrow. And this grandma hasn't seen her grandkids for an entire month, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out how am I going to convince her that it might be safe to see her grandchildren again before she gets too old to see them ever again. Like that bothers me, right? And that's real shit. Like that's just real shit. And a lot of you are going through that same stuff where you got grandparents scared to see their own damn grandkids, man. If you're 75, 80 years old, you don't have that many years left to see them. So I'm going to say, look, if you're going to stay in the house and miss paying your bills, miss seeing your loved ones, miss living your life, it better be for a damn good reason. And you better have the data to prove it. if you ain't got data to support the fact that you're sitting at home missing out on all the things in life that could give you joy and all the things that can make you whole financially, emotionally, and otherwise, if you're doing all that and you ain't got a good reason, or you're doing it because a politician told you to do it, then shame on you. And I do not feel sorry for you, because when you finally come outside and realize that you were never in danger in the first place, the whole world will have moved on and you'll be sitting right there looking stupid with no job and no opportunities. So I'm just saying, look, if you stay in the house for another month or two or whatever, because you feel like you can't come out to the end of summer, then I hope that you're independently wealthy, because by that time, a lot of those jobs that were available are going to be gone. A lot of those opportunities for your business are going to be gone. Your customers are going to be going to the nail salon down the street. So that's what I'm seeing. That's what I believe. And I'm just sticking with it. And I don't care if anybody disagrees. If anybody disagrees, come at me with facts. But if you come at me with feelings and opinions, I honestly, I'm going to admit to you, I'm honestly going to ignore you, because opinions and feelings, that screws Black people up. You know, it's just, I get tired of us reacting to emotional things as opposed to reacting to actual data. You know, seriously, it makes us look silly. Like when that lady down, the mayor, Keisha Bottoms, the mayor down in Atlanta, she gets a text message from, so again, they're playing you. These politicians are playing you. She gets a text message from some toothless, dumbass redneck who calls her the N-word because she won't open up the city, right? Go nigger, go ahead and open up the city, nigger. So she puts this up on Twitter, right? And everybody reacts. Everybody goes crazy. They announce they're going to do an FBI investigation to find out. And I'm just sitting here like, really? Like, you got to be mayor of Atlanta and it rattles you when some dumbass redneck who probably didn't get past the 3rd grade calls you the N-word? Like, really? You really? Now, here's what I think. I don't think that she was rattled at all. I think that she's a tough, smart woman who was smart enough to become mayor of Atlanta. Shit, I can't become mayor of Atlanta. I don't know how to do that, right? So you're not stupid. What you're doing is, you know that your constituents are emotional animals, and you know your constituents are easily triggered by what white people say. You know your constituents are gonna stop everything they're doing and be like, oh hell no, he didn't call her the N-word. Man, that's what you're doing. You're playing people. You're doing the same thing Oprah did. Anybody remember when Oprah was trying to promote she happened to have a special coming out, and then she told that story about how she went into a store and tried to buy a purse, and the white lady told her that she couldn't afford the purse. Anybody remember that? When that happened, and suddenly everybody was like outraged because this white lady thought Oprah couldn't. Oh hell no, that's Oprah. Oprah can buy her purse, right? Oprah was masterful in manipulating Black emotion, Black emotionality. She was manipulating that so that people would watch her movie or whatever the hell she was promoting. It wasn't a coincidence that she told that story at the same time she was promoting, a new movie, right? So the same thing is true here. The Democrats are promoting the next election. They are promoting their agenda. And in promoting their agenda, one of their favorite tools to manipulate is excessive Black emotionality, particularly as it relates to the fact that you are easily triggered by any dumbass, retarded hillbilly who calls you the N-word. Somebody who literally, think about this, I'm a white man who is as insignificant as a human being can be. I worked down at the local Dunkin' Donuts, and I got to the 4th grade in school, and I got one tooth in my mouth because I smoked so much meth, and I want to get attention. All I do is I call Black people the N-word, and suddenly all of them are going to pay attention to me. I'm going to be in the news. They're all going to react to me. They're all going to stop what they're doing just so they can come and tell me off. And literally, it's the dumbest thing in the world to me. So I'm just going to say this. I'm going to tell you, this is my opinion, Black people. Maybe I sound insensitive saying this. You must stop reacting to every stupid thing a white person says about you. They don't like you. That's been made clear. If it hasn't been made clear yet, if you're still holding out hope that one day they're going to turn around and love you, then you deserve all the bullshit that you get. You deserve to be stomped on for the rest of your life. But those of you who are trying to understand the truth, here's a truth for you. One, they don't like you, never have, probably never will. Black lives don't matter unless they matter to black people. White people, why would white people care about black lives? Do you sit around every day trying to figure out how to go save an Asian kid? Like, are you sitting around wondering if the Arab community is able to eat every day? Are you wondering if Jewish people can find enough jobs? No, Jewish lives don't really matter that much to you. That's their problem. That's their community. Well, black lives don't matter either unless they start mattering to black people. So why are you even running around wondering if black lives matter to white people when white people make it clear that they care about themselves, which is exactly what you should be doing as well. So they don't like you. They don't care about you. They know that you're easily triggered by bullshit. So if I'm a white guy and I really want to control black people, what I do is I just say, I can call them a name. I can call them the N-word, and they'll just stop doing whatever they're doing so they can sit back and be mad at me. Right. So I'm going to just sum it up here because it's time for us to go. I think that you're being played. I really do. I think that the Democrats and Republicans are both playing their base. I think that going back to the key point, I think looking at data and data coming from scientists is what matters. If anybody disagrees with me, I challenge you, find a group of ER doctors who disagree with everything that I laid out in this podcast, who disagree with what the studies have shown for these doctors. You're not going to find people who are going to disagree with what the rules say. They're not going to disagree necessarily with social distancing and quarantine and all this stuff for a while, right? Because we all want to follow the rules. Nobody wants to be out here just being the asshole that doesn't respect the system. But at the same time, there's a point where you have to be able to think for yourself. And that's what I'm telling you guys to do. And so that's it. I'm done. I don't have anything else to say. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. And I hope this conversation helped a lot of you. And I can only say from the bottom of my heart that I'm doing everything I can to be as honest as I can possibly be. I don't believe this stuff anymore. I do not feel like I'm in danger anymore. I'm not going to go to the grocery store and wash down the groceries when that come through the door anymore. I'm not going to wear a mask at all. I never wore a mask. I never will. And when we have an event, when I finally start doing stuff in public again, which is going to be in a few months, because I don't want to be, I'm not rushing anything. I'm going to hug every single one of you. I'm going to shake every single one of your hands, and I'm not going to be scared to do any of that because I'm not going to miss out on living because I'm running around so scared to die. You're going to die at some point anyway. The question for me is, did you ever get a chance to live, or did you spend your whole life in fear? Do not let fear drive your decision-making. Make your own decision, but do not make that decision out of fear because you will miss out on everything that is beautiful about being alive on this earth. That's my 2 cents. I got to go, guys. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button. If you want to follow me on Instagram, go to The Real Boyce Watkins, and also Twitter, Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. And last but not least, if you want to learn to buy your first share of stock, there's a free training at firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. So take care, guys. Have a good day. Thank you for listening. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, 10, 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we